The reason why your defense feels trash right now in Madden 26 is because you're not using one of the only 5 defenses that actually work to get stops. Luckily for you, in this video, I'm breaking out all 5 of them with the exact adjustments and coverages that you're going to need to lock down regardless of your skill level. If you're tired of playing trash on defense and finally want to start getting stops in Madden 26, this is going to be the only video you need to watch. So don't skip out on any of the defenses, and let's jump right into it. The first defense I want to break down is the one that won Journey $1 million at the Madden Bowl. Let me show you. All right, so that first defense here is going to be Dime 3-2, all right? From the Jaguars defensive playbook, you want to make sure that you have auto flip turned off, and if you're going to run match coverage, that you have all 3 zone drop depths on default. But we're going to come here and cover 4 quarters, and we're going to run this loop blitz that is only a 4-man rush, but it's really effective, right? What you want to do, take this linebacker, drag him all the way over to about right here. Sometimes you have to bump him into that linebacker void, just like I did right there. Sometimes he just stays, in his spot. But you put him in that spot right there, then you press RB, right stick up to pass commit, and then what you're going to notice is there's going to be times where he's going to loop through and be able to go get the quarterback. Now, when you're running match coverage, be careful because different route concepts, if you're not paying attention, can, run wide open down the field. But so that's just something to be aware of. Or if you turn like your zone drop onto 5 yards, right, then you're actually that's not going to happen. They're not going to match down the field, but you're going to take this linebacker again, drag him over here, bump him into that man. Now he's in the correct spot. And so even if he doesn't loop all the way in free, he's still going to be able to do a great job of collapsing the pocket for the quarterback, right? Kind of just like right there, actually, where he's going to do a great job of just collapsing the pocket. You want to make sure that you're switching ready down the field and you're able to take that away. But we're going to go through it a few more times here. This time, I'm going to show you an example of where you don't have, match coverage turned on. So you just put one of your zone drops on 5. You drag this man over here. You pass commit. You click off. And now you're going to try to get the attention of this guard to turn this man away from, where the actual play is happening. So boom, turn him outside. You're going to notice how this time, again, they do a pretty decent job of blocking it, but we're still able to collapse that pocket really well and get the sack. But we're going to go through it one last time here since it is 4th down. Again, this is a 4-man rush, right? You saw this very prominently in the Madden Bowl. I'm sure you've seen this online or on Twitch streams, whatever it is, where this is one of the most frequent and commonly used blitzes. But again, this is set up, drag this man over here, bump him, and then you are going to pass commit your defense. Pass commit just makes your pass rush better, makes your blitzes come off a little bit better. But here we go again, boom, turn that man, and that's an example of where the loop is a lot more effective because he's able to get to that gap and make the play. So that's where the loop blitz, but that's not even really my favorite part about this defense because you can actually stop the run in the backfield every time. Let me show you that too. Because if you come right back in a Dime 3-2, right, you're going to come into the same play, cover 4 quarters. You can still have auto flip off, but instead of setting up that loop blitz, what you're going to do is take this linebacker and stand directly inside the butt of the defensive tackle, right? So when they call inside zone, like as we know, if I were to just set it up normally, how people would run this defense, it's a 3 defensive line look, which means they just have all day to run, and I speed boosted there, so I probably could have scored a touchdown on that run. They have the whole middle is going to be wide open for you, but when you're able to just close it off with automatic run defense just like that, where you can stop them in the backfield, that's going to be very, advantageous for you. So you're going to take this man right here, stand directly inside the butt of the defensive tackle like this. You won't see this, but the offense would if they looked at their play art. A flame icon is going to be over the head of your user, which means now when you come in, when you blitz, either you're going to come in clean or your D tackle, like right there, Eric Armstead is able to just walk in the backfield before they have an opportunity to speed boost away. You saw in the first play when I called it, it was just an easy speed boost and we're out of there. But now the front, there's nowhere for them to run. So right here, they're just going to take it, and this time I'm there with my user to dive tackle the ball carrier in the backfield again, preventing tackle battles, preventing them from being able to speed boost away from you. And this is going to work great against, all inside runs, like base, the base, inside zone, a lot of those type of inside runs. There are counters for them as far as going outside, but as we know, inside runs are some of the most common in the game. And so by you being able to just come through and, tackle the ball here in the backfield, time and time again, it's going to be the most, foolproof way to just lock down the run. So we go through one last time here since it is 4th down, and then we will be on our way here. But boom, take this guy, stand directly inside the butt of your defense tackle. You don't have to run commit. That's what makes this so dangerous, but you're just able to see again where I'm just going to dive tackle that man and they have nowhere to run. Making sure you have heat seeker assist turned on in your settings, and you have a player that actually has good tackling, is a pretty tall guy so that he can reach out and actually make those plays, is going to be the most consistent way to just dive tackle the ball carrier. But regardless, dime 3-2, one of the best defenses in the game because you have automatic run defense and you have a great loop blitz. But that next defense I want to show you is another underrated one because it gives you automatic sheds that are way faster than just a standard pass rush. Let me show you. All right, so that defense here is going to be nickel double mug. No, we're not talking about the bot version of double mug, dragging the guy over the line of scrimmage. No, we're not talking about that. What we're going to talk about here from this defense, these are the settings that you want to make sure you're using. Just a lot of simple stuff. Curl flats on 5, but all we're going to do, this is what makes this so unique. It needs to be nickel double mug, not 2-4 double mug or 3-3 double mug. But what we're going to do here, come to our packages and flick the right stick until we find the 4 defensive end package, just right here, 4 DNs. What this essentially does is moves your best defensive ends. So Max Crosby, for example, is one of those 2 guys here, right? It moves them to defensive tackle, and then it subs your 3rd and 4th string defensive ends at the actual DN position. So those guys will be playing against the tackles. Essentially, you're sacrificing your defensive tackles to put your defensive ends there so that you can trust those guys to really do a great job of winning their reps, all right, against offensive guards. Who offensive guards are more run blocking, power guys, awareness. They're not necessarily those pass blocking guys like offensive tackles will. So there are certainly still some offensive guards that can do a good job in pass protection. Don't get it mistaken, but especially this is the best when you're playing franchise, when you're playing regs and when you're playing franchise. When you're playing mud, it's like everyone pretty much has 99, so it doesn't have the same effect, just being honest. But the most played mode is regs. So if you're playing regs, you're playing franchise, getting your best DNs matched against their guards is going to help you out. So what you're going to see, an example right here, is if I just press RB, right stick up to pass through my defense, like I told you guys in the last segment, what you're going to see is that's going to allow Crosby to just, not even Crosby right there, the other guys. So that's my 2nd string defensive end playing against their offensive guard, right? Who he just gets annihilated right here. Just one swim move. That's the key. If you're seeing those swim moves a lot, that's because your guys are completely able to just win their reps very, very easily. This guy not used to, like I said earlier, playing against those players who, can swim, can, do those speed rush moves. They're more so used to playing against guys who just are going to overpower them, and that's what they're more, adept to be able to block. But you did notice on the other side here how Crosby gets double teamed. And the reason why is because the defensive ends are the ones typically that are going to get double teamed. And so that's kind of their job, to eat up double team blocks. But obviously, Max Crosby is my best pass rusher in this case. I want him to be able to get a one-on-one. So what you're going to do to solve that is you're going to need to blitz another player. So you're going to, blitz this linebacker right here to make it 5-on-5. Instead of it being 3 one-on-ones and a double team, now it's just going to be 5 one-on-ones. So when you press RB, right stick up to pass to your defense, now you're going to notice Crosby's in a one-on-one, and he's going to do a lot better job of winning his rep quite often. Although that time, number 51 was our guy once again. So you're really calling a defense in this particular package to trust and bank on the fact that one of your 2 DNs who we really have a D tackle here, that those guys are going to be the ones that can actually, win their rep and go get the quarterback on the ground. So we go with it again. That time Crosby's ability lights up, and yet he's still able to go get the quarterback, down in a hurry. So you're really relying on sheds here more so with this defense. Obviously, the rest of the video, we're talking about a whole bunch of blitzes and custom stunts, but here, sometimes the best way is to actually just, get sheds and rely on sheds and play really great coverage defense. So you don't always have to blitz that fifth rusher. It's kind of just optional if you're tired of like them being able to double team one of your guys, right? That's, you know, an option that you can have. But it's like being able to get all these guys on one-on-one. Crosby just destroyed that guy. 51 destroys his man, and that's a great example of what makes this so dangerous. So nickel double mug, not any other version of double mug. Call the 4 defensive in package. It starts to reap the benefits with better sheds. All right, so if you found that breakdown, the first 2 defenses helpful here in Madden 26, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. I break down Madden 26 tips and tricks to help you guys get better every single day. You don't want to miss out on any of the content that I have. But if you want my full Jaguars defensive ebook, which features that dime 3-2 blitz and automatic run defense, go to the link down below in the pinned comment. You can grab it today by using code YouTube to get 20% off. Those are the full videos, screenshots, write-ups, everything you're going to need to dominate on defense from this Jaguars playbook, and you don't want to miss out on any of the content that's inside. I guarantee you'll transform your defense. But let's jump right back into the video, because next I want to break down what might be the best blitz defense right now, and it's probably the easiest for a beginner to set up. Let me introduce you to nickel 3-3 cub. All right, so when we come into nickel 3-3 cub, there's a lot of different, you know, defenses that I talk about here, or coverage setups in my Vikings defensive ebook, but the easiest to understand and probably the one I rely on the most here is going to be Mike Blitz 0, right? So obviously make sure we have our per flex on 5, RP opacity and conservative, right, if you were playing the game. But what we're going to do here to set up this, you know, blitz, an overload blitz, one of the best overload blitzes in the game, is we're going to shift our defensive line to the left. We're going to drop our outside linebacker right here into a curl flat assignment, and then we are going to just D-pad switch stick right off the snap. So as soon as you see the ball snap, you're going to press your D-pad to the right to switch onto that man. Again, you're going to stand about 2 yards over the left shoulder of the center. Where you stand with your user actually makes the biggest difference in does this blitz come in free or does it not, right? It's actually, you know, where you stand, because here's the issue. If you come and stand right here, like in the wrong spot, when you take the snap and press D-pad to the right, well, you actually see right there where it still works, but it's like there's going to be a lot of the time where the guard can actually step over and block your user. And so the reason why I was able to work right here, even though, again, I was kind of standing in the wrong spot, was because my user runs into the center. And this is what you have to make sure that you do. If your user runs into the guard, then the center can slide over and make this 3-on-3 on the left side. But when you get the attention of the center, now it's 3-on-2 advantage us on the left side, right? They have 2-on-1 on the right side, but if we had the advantage on one side, that's going to be fantastic for us. That allows for us to walk in the backfield untouched. So you're able to see how in that example, I was kind of standing in the wrong spot, still ended up working. Kind of shows you how good the blitz is, that even if you get quick snap, you're not in the correct spot, it can still work from time to time. But again, like I said, the most consistent way is standing over the left shoulder of the center right here, so that your user has no choice when you switch off of him to run into the center. So again, take the snap, press D-pad to the right, and then you're just able to see how not only are you getting that flying pressure off the edge right there, but then also you're in coverage, you know, with your user defender over here to be able to stop the running back swing route out of the backfield, to be able to stop whatever they have over the middle of the field, okay? And if you're going to run man coverage, because I run man, or I rarely run man out of this, it's mostly zone, but if you're going to run man, I would always recommend you route commit by pressing Y-A, clicking onto the receiver. I'm going to do Brock Bowers here, and then I'm going to press his icon to route commit outside. That's going to make your man coverage a whole lot better if you're going to run man coverage, because the reality is you have a really great blitz, but you have to kind of, you know, foolproof yourself if the blitz doesn't come in by playing sticky coverage on the back end. But if they block their running back, which would probably be a pretty, you know, an adjustment someone would make, you know, at a time, all you want to do is put your safety now in a hook curl, especially if you know they're blocking their running back, because now instead of pressing D-pad to the right, you're going to press D-pad up to switch onto that man. So again, we're going to take the snap, press D-pad up. You see how Ashton Jeanty slides over, but he stands no chance because he's a running back against an edge rusher or a defensive lineman. So it really doesn't make a whole big of a difference. If they block their running back, can still work. And then it's probably even better for you because you're back over the middle of the field to guard whatever they have with your user defender. So bottom line, Mike Blitz 0 here from 3-3 Cub. Shift your defensive line to the left every time. It doesn't matter which side the running back's on. Always to the left. always standing over the left shoulder of the center, about 2 yards off the line of scrimmage, dropping your man into a curl flat, and as soon as they take the snap, press that D-pad to the right to switch onto your man, and you're going to be flying in free every time while still playing lockdown coverage in the back end. Alright, before I jump into those final 2 defenses that might be even better than the ones I've already shown you in this video, I wanted to remind you to go down below and hit that subscribe button, because I break down Madden 26 tips and tricks, like I said, every single day. I'm the only one doing it right now on YouTube, so you don't want to miss out on any of the content that I have, because I guarantee you'll get better. But let's jump into those final 2 defenses, because that next defense I want to break down is perhaps the easiest defense. It's literally put your controller down and you're going to be wreaking havoc on the quarterback nearly every single play. Let me introduce you to nickel single mug. Alright, so we're going to come here. You can do this from any single mug in the game. 3-3 single mug, 2-4 single mug, or single mug. Really doesn't change a whole lot here. But what we're going to do is come into our custom stunts by holding the play call button. And then we're going to choose the Texas 4-man custom stunt, right? So we're going to spread our defensive line and we're going to pass commit. That's where it's really going to allow for this custom stunt to work wonders. This was really great at the beginning of the year. It kind of fizzled out through some updates, but it's totally back, because when you're playing against stunts, or excuse me, when you're playing against a lot of formations, they're going to use base protection. That's, you know, the default protection that a lot of people want to use. They're going to use base protection, but when that's the case, you can use that against them. Like, base protection is great because it against standard rushes, but when they play against stunts, it's absolutely horrible, right? So what you're going to see is, boom, we're going to take this down, get the attention of that center momentarily, but still getting back into coverage with our user to be able to defend like an angle route or whatever they have over the middle of the field. So you're going to see why this works. Again, only a 4-man rush here, but we're looping through and we're stunting. So what's typically going to happen is you're going to get the attention of the center just like this. You're going to turn him to the right, just like I do right here. And so this guy's going to come in clean, and this guy's going to come in clean. And so since you turn the center to the right, he's going to block that guy, right? So that's fine for us, because we still typically have a guy coming in clean off the edge to just fly in free. That's what makes this particular stunt, the Texas 4-man, so valuable, because your D tackles, they go outside, and then your D ends, they go inside. And so that just creates a lot of confusion against base protection, because base protection is best utilized against standard pass rush. No custom stunts, no overload blitz, nothing crazy. That's when you should use it. And so you're just going to use that against them, right? So again, we're going to put them in base protection. We're going to pass commit our defense to make sure that our pass rushers aren't worried about the run possibly, and they're teeing off on the quarterback. But we're going to take the snap right here, get the attention of that man, and then you're going to see how, again, we just loop right through that, you know, middle gap, and we're able to go get the quarterback on the ground in a hurry. So anytime you're able to have -1, they have one more blocker than we have pass rush, but yet we're still able to just go get the quarterback on the ground in a hurry, in an instant. That's so advantageous for you, because now that allows you to do so much more on defense as far as coverage goes. But the counter to this for them, just being honest, because, you know, you guys watch me, you expect me to give you the reality here. They can just take the snap and roll out. You see how even with Geno got some wheels, but they can roll out on this stunt every time, because there's no contain out on the edge. Whether they have a righty or they have a lefty, they're going to be able to roll out to their handedness side pretty effortlessly. So what you're going to do to, you know, counter that is switch stunts now to the left Texas 2-man, because the reason is you're still going to turn this center to the right, but there's now going to be no one for him to block. And so you're still going to be able to get that guy to come in free off the edge on the left side pretty often. So RB, right stick up to pass commit, boom, take the snap, turn that guy outside. And, you know, this stunt, because you don't have a 4-man stunt, it's not as consistent as far as the stunt, but the contain is always going to be there. And so the reality is, if they, you know, think you're running the same exact defense, what they're probably going to do is just take the snap and try to roll out. But now you just see how when they instantly roll out, 58's right there to make that play on that guy. So they just have nowhere to go. So that's really, you know, the bottom line here with this is, if they're going to roll out on you, switch to the left Texas 2-man to be able to contain the quarterback while still getting that really great loop pressure off the edge. But we go through it one last time here, turn that guy outside, and there it is, where we still get that really great pressure. So left Texas 2-man, Texas 4-man from single mug, using both of those stunts in tandem, in combination, depending on what the offense is giving you. Alright, so that last defense that's really effective right now is a simple one, because the reality is everyone doesn't want to or simply can't make adjustments at the speed of light. So let me show you a simple defense that's really effective right now from 3-3 odd. Alright, so we're going to come here into nickel 3-3 odd. Obviously, make sure we have the same coaching adjustments. If you want to use safety depth close, you can. Or you can leave it on default. I would recommend here with this defense, because we're going to be switch sticking a lot, that you leave it on default so that you're not getting switched onto your safeties all the time, and instead your linebackers. But we're going to have them in a random pass play, because the reality is on defense in this game, you either have to make a whole bunch of adjustments or you have to switch stick if you're playing against a high-powered and high-caliber offensive player, because it's just not going to be enough to just, not switch stick and call simple defenses. So here we're choosing to switch stick, but we're allowing ourselves more grace to not have to make a whole bunch of adjustments pre-play. So a random pass play right here, and all I'm doing is just reading their play, right? That's all I'm doing. I'm reading their route concept, reading their play, right? For example, right there, they call play action right off the snap. I see where their routes are breaking, and I take advantage of that with my switch stick. So again, right here, I see it. I see that he's on a crosser, so I switched it there, and that would be lockdown defense because no one's going to be open. So really, like I said, with this defense, we're not changing anything around. We're not using any stunts. We're not making any real coverage adjustments. All we're doing is pass committing our defense if we feel like they're passing, which they're empty right here. So, 95% certainty they are. And so, boom, they're going to bring this guy in motion. And if you're probably not going to know their route concept every single play, but yeah, you're still going to be able to play really great defense and again, rely on your pass rush. Like I told you earlier from double mug, sometimes that's going to be your best friend on defense. And so when you can master the switch stick, getting good with it, you don't have to make a whole lot of adjustments. You can force them to actually call good plays, but still have to make really great reads because you're moving all around on defense when, with your switch stick. Jumping out here, taking away guys underneath, like that's just textbook switch stick defense. No one's open, everything's guarded. So obviously, I feel like I'm pretty good with this switch stick here, but what would I do if I wasn't? How would I get better with it? Because like I said, it's pretty mandatory if you're going to run this defense. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this because it's so simple. A good player will just dot you up if you're not switch sticking. So what I would do to improve is just get in practice mode, spy off the pass rush, hook up a second controller on offense so that when you take the snap, the quarterback now is going to have all day. And essentially what this is going to allow is, you're going to see it here in a second, where these guys are going to start route bouncing all over the field. And your job is to make sure that at no point can they throw one of these passes. It's not exactly the easiest drill because these guys are moving all around, but that's your goal, right? You want to make sure that at no point can any of these passes be thrown. And obviously, when all these guys stop running, they sit down, that's when you throw the ball away. But if you spend 10, 15, 20 minutes before you hop in a game, you're going to have a lot more control over your switch stick. You're going to say, okay, if I flick my right stick here, this is who it's going to click me onto. So if you're really serious about, running, this is going to help you out in every defense, not just this one. Switch sticking anytime you're running zone coverage is going to help you out a lot. But really, this is going to be the best drill to help you out because you have to recognize their route concept as soon as they snap the ball. Like, it has to be, boom, take the snap. Okay, I see I got to be here underneath. And so I'm switching all around and I'm taking away whatever they have. So you essentially don't want for them to be able to throw anything. And cover 3 cloud, really no adjustments, just relying on your switch stick, honestly, is a great way to run good zone coverage. Alright, so if you found any of those top 5 defenses helpful here in Madden 26, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. I break down Madden 26 tips and tricks, give you guys free defensive ebooks every single day, and you don't want to miss out on any of the content that I have. But if you want either my Vikings defense or my Jaguars defensive ebooks, in detail with videos, screenshots, write-ups to follow along with, go to the link down below in the pinned comment. You can grab it today by using code YouTube to get 20% off. I guarantee they'll transform the way you're able to play defense and you'll start locking down. But if you want to see my Vikings defense and a live action gameplay against a real opponent, check out this video right here. I'll see you over there. Peace.